It's 70,000 years ago and the sun just went down. You're lying on the ground, not a bed, the ground. There's no door, there's no wall, there's no roof. There's a fire about 6 feet away that will be dead in next 4 hours. And after that, there's nothing between your body and everything in the dark that eats meat. You have to close your eyes now. For the next 7 hours, you'll be blind, deaf, paralyzed and completely helpless. In the open, surrounded by animals that hunt at night specifically because things like you can't see. This happened every single night for 200,000 years, and your ancestors survived it enough times that you exist. So, how? Because sleep is the single most dangerous thing a human being does, and we did it outside, on the floor, without walls, for almost our entire history. Let's start with what we gave up. Every other ape solves this problem the same way. They go up. A chimpanzee builds a fresh nest every night, 30 feet off the ground, out of bent branches. It takes about 5 minutes. Gorillas do it, orangutans do it. They've been doing it for millions of years, and the reason is simple. Leopards can climb, but they can't climb quietly onto a branch that bends. Chimps sleep around 9.5 hours a night up there, safe, elevated, undisturbed. Then somewhere around 2 million years ago, our ancestors came down. Our bodies changed for walking, longer legs, flatter feet, hips built for distance, great for covering grounds, useless for gripping a branch at 2 in the morning. And we got bigger and heavier. The branches that could hold us stopped being the branches that could hide us. So we started sleeping on the floor, on the actual ground, in the open, in a landscape that contained cave hyenas, cave lions, leopards, and hunting dogs, all of which were most active at exactly the hours we were unconscious. By every rule of survival, this should have wiped us out. Instead, we invented 4 things, and the first one is so simple that nobody thought to look for it until 2017. In 2017, a researcher named David Sampson went to northern Tanzania to study the Hadza, one of the last hunter-gatherer groups on Earth, living the closest thing we have to how humans lived before agriculture. He put wrist trackers on 33 people, Fitbit-style devices that measure movement and light. Then he recorded them sleeping every night for 20 days. What he was looking for was normal sleep data. What he found was this. Across the entire 20-day study, out of roughly 30,000 minutes of night, there were only 18 minutes where every single person in the camp was asleep at the same time. 18 minutes out of the 20 nights. 99.8% of the time, somebody was awake. And nobody scheduled this. There was no watch rota. Nobody volunteered. It happened because human beings don't all get tired at the same time. And Samson figured out what exactly drives that. Age. The young adults in the camp were night owls. They stayed up, they talked, they flirted, they sat by the fire until 1, 2 in the morning, exactly what you'd expect from people in their courtship years. And the elders were the opposite. They went to sleep early and woke at 3, 4 in the morning and stayed up, which means that in any group with young people and old people in it, the coverage is automatic. The kids close around the night, the grandparents open it. There is no gap. That's called the centennial hypothesis, and it was proposed back in 1966, but nobody had ever confirmed it in humans until Samson stood in the Hadza camp with a box of activity trackers. We didn't post a guard, we evolved into one. The second thing was fire, and not for the reason you'd think. Yes, it kept predators out, but fire's real gift to sleep was that it made the ground survivable. A hairless primate lying on cold dirt loses body heat all night. Fire meant you could sleep flat, sleep deeply, and sleep in one place instead of huddling upright and shivering through it. And once you're sleeping in one place, something new becomes possible. You can improve it. In a rock shelter called Sibudu on the east coast of South Africa, an archaeologist named Lynn Wadley found something that had no business surviving bedding. Actually, bedding 77,000 years old, compacted layers of sedges and rushes, river plants about a centimeter thick spread across up to 3 square meters of floor. These plants don't grow on in a dry rock shelter. They grow down by the river below the site, which means somebody walked down, cut them, carried them back up, and laid them out. Somebody made a bed 77,000 years ago, but that's not the part that gets me. Laid across the top of the reeds, a layer so thin the researchers described it as tissue paper thin, was one specific plant. A botanist identified it as Cryptocarya woodii, river wild quince. Its crushed leaves contain natural insecticides. It repels mosquitoes. They weren't just making a mattress, they were making a mattress with bug spray built into the top sheet. Somebody worked out which leaf keeps the biting insects off, and then made the layer your face touches. And there's one more detail. Starting around 73,000 years ago, the layers show the bedding was regularly burned. When it got old and dirty, infested, they didn't drag it out. They sat on the bed on fire, swept it, and laid down a fresh one. 15 separate layers of this, spanning nearly 40,000 years. The same site, the same routine. Cut the reeds, lay the reeds, top it with the good leaves, burn it. When it's done, start again. That's not survival, that's housekeeping. Here's what it gets strange. You'd assume that people without electricity, without phones, without alarm clocks sleep enormously. 10 hours. Sun goes down, everybody's out. In 2015, a team led by Jerome Siegel tested that. They tracked 3 separate groups with no electric light at all. The Hadza in Tanzania, the San in Namibia, and the Smain in Bolivia. 3 continents, no contact with each other. All 3 slept somewhere between 5 and 7.5 hours a night. That's the same as you, in some cases less than you. And they didn't go to sleep at sunset. They stayed up for hours after dark, talking, eating, working on tools, sitting around the fire. Then they went down late, slept a fairly short night, and consistently woke before dawn. In the coldest part of it, so the story we tell ourselves that modern life stole our sleep isn't quite right. What modern life changed isn't how long we sleep, it's that we now do it alone, behind a locked door, in a silent room, and we expect the whole thing to happen in one unbroken block. That expectation is the new part, not the sleep. I want to go back to the grandparents because when Samson found that elders in the camp were walking at 3 and 4 in the morning, the easy read is that old people just sleep badly, worn out bodies, broken clocks. But look at what it actually does. The most vulnerable hours of the night, the dead hours, when the fire is lowest and every young adult in the camp is finally unconscious, are covered by one person who can't hunt, can't run, and can't fight. They can't outrun anything, but they can notice, and noticing 4 hours before anyone else would have is the entire difference between a camp that wakes up and a camp that doesn't. Samson's own suggestion is that this is part of why humans live so long past the age of having children, that there's a real survival level job for the old, and some of it happens at 3 in the morning while everyone they love is sleeping. So think about that the next time you're lying awake at 3 in the morning for no reason, staring at the ceiling, annoyed at yourself, somewhere back down the line, that was somebody's shift. You're the descendant of the ones who woke up. Every single night for 200,000 years, somebody in your line was awake in the dark, keeping the fire alive, listening, so that the rest of them could close their eyes on open ground and still be there in the morning. You didn't inherit their truth. You didn't inherit their strength. You inherited the watch. If you want more of these, the strange, buried, extremely human parts of how we actually lived, subscribe. I'm putting out one video every week, and tell me in the comments what's the weirdest thing you do to fall asleep, because whatever it is, I promise somebody was doing a version of it 70,000 years ago on a pile of leaves. The next one about what happened if you got a toothache before dentists exist is worse than you think. Watch it next.